Should you summon this weekend for Beelzebub and Beatrix? If you don't know, I make these should you summon videos basically every week. I've probably made like 100. I'm sure I've made at least 50. And I can say for sure, this is the hardest should you summon video I've ever had to make. And it's not hard because of this banner. It's hard because of all the unknown stuff looming above us. And all those unknowns are stemming from the newly announced Dracula event. Hey guys, this was a hard video to make. I really covered a lot of nuanced things. So if you appreciate that and you appreciate what we do here on the channel, please make sure you subscribe. Thanks. So this banner is excellent. It's definitely one of the stronger banners. I'm not gonna say it's like a top whatever banner, but it is on the stronger side of banners. However, if you did not know, yesterday we had the first ever official collaboration event announced in Watcher of Realms, and this is a crossover with Dracula, like original Dracula IP. Some people are saying it's not a crossover, it's not a collab because this is kind of public domain stuff. Other games call things like this a crossover. They call it a collab. When Raid did the Alice in Wonderland thing, they called that a collab. I think it's the same idea. So whatever. It's a big, exciting new event. The developers are hyping it up a ton, both publicly and behind the scenes. However, over the past 24 hours, I've been playing around with these characters now, mainly Count Dracula and Lady Mina, because those are the units we have dates for. If you want to learn more about that, you can watch this video here. Check a link in the description. But yeah, I don't know. Lady Mina's bad. At the very least, she's severely, severely underpowered. And she is going to be our next limited exclusive 200 guaranteed hero next week. However, from my conversations with the developers, it sounds like they're actively receiving and very open to feedback about these new units, meaning the current versions of these characters on test server are not necessarily the final versions we're going to get. So from that, I believe a unit like Mina could absolutely be buffed because she's in her current form. I think a lot of people would just straight skip her. However, it's not like she's going to be buffed today or probably tomorrow or maybe even by Monday. It would probably take days to put into action. And for that reason, it's very hard to give strong advice on this banner when we don't really know what's coming next week. Like, is the limited going to be this weak version over here? This was some anti-arena testing I was doing on the test server against a defense set up by Evil Planet. Shout out to Evil Planet. The reason I'm using this comp is this actually was a message we got on our test server channel for test server content creators from the developers, and they suggested this lineup. You can see recommended content for the new units. One of the things was anti-air arena, and these were the 5 units they suggested. And I'll tell you, it's possible my placements, I'm going to do this for you live again so you can see, it's possible my placements were suboptimal. It's certainly possible my timings weren't perfect, but it was a pretty good run. I almost beat this defense over here. I think it was like 36% health left for him, and I had like 28%. We'll see how it goes in a second when I do it with you. But one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb is Mina. She dealt basically no damage. And a huge part of her kit, she's kind of being sold to us as Mari, but when she ults, she becomes like a platform Dracula who has crazy damage. And she gets all this huge attack boost, right? A crazy high attack boost. But in reality, what I was seeing was for the current meta and the way you place units and her weird range, because she has like a lengthened Mari Aeon range, if you can imagine. She has like Mari Eloin range, but then she gets a little further if you run her with a Piercer Lord. But given the content in this game, I don't think that's really functional in places. Like in this map, in this content, rarely are units reaching her. And when she ults and they reach her, she's still dealing so much less damage than an Erlang Shen or a Dracula. I will say one big takeaway from this, I think Dracula will be very strong in single target arena and anti-air. I've said that the past 2 days or the past day. I don't know how long I've been covering this. The past 2 videos. Now I've seen it in action. It looks like Erlang Shen was the crazy guy here. He was doing all the AoE leading up to like the pick-off moves, the way you'd time out like a Yuri. And you can see that Dracula was kind of filling that Yuri role, and he was doing it very well. I'll tell you, with this comp, and this was like their #1 suggestion for Mina, I'm sure you could make it work. I'm sure you could place in Overlord with this comp, but there's no world that a Yuri would not be better in that spot than Mina. A0 Yuri would be better, like without a doubt in my mind, at least in the current version of Mina that we have on the test server. Moreover, I don't know why you would do it to begin with. Like, if you wanted this role, you would just run like a Theowen or a Mari if you had to. I don't see how she's better than them in any way. The damage, though, when it hits is pretty hard, is very, very infrequent. It's only 10 seconds, and it's only when she ults. Outside of that, essentially, she deals no damage. She's just like a support. And her support functionality, her what I call a spammer, if you've ever heard me say it on the channel, when she's putting out a lot of debuffs and crowd control effects, it's weak. Like, it's worse than Mari for sure. Mari does single target slows and vulnerabilities and stuff, but then she gets those icicle effects that can hit multiple targets, and those happen pretty frequently. Mina, even in the build I have here, which you'll see, obviously is like a very, very good test server build. She has over 600 attack speed and stuff like that. She's only putting out those bursts of vulnerability and slows outside of the ultimate every 5th basic attack. And the uptime is not good enough, and it only hits 5 targets. So what I was seeing is very unreliable debuffing, very unreliable crowd control. Reading the kit originally, I thought she would be one of the more consistent debuffers in the game, especially with her slows. And what we actually get is fairly inconsistent because she's only hitting multiple targets outside of the ultimate every 5 basic attacks. Even with these crazy bond skills, this double hitter, it's still like every 4.5 to 5.5 seconds. And it's just not enough. If they gave those things durations of like 5 seconds, maybe it could work. But even still, I don't think it would because she's not hitting enough targets. If they made it that she hits 10 or 12 targets, then we would really have something. But without that, I just don't think it's that special. Now, don't worry, guys. I know this is a Beelzebub and Beatrix should you summon. That's coming in 1 second, but we needed a lot of context. And I think that's why people were so curious about this. You can see I got her down to a 0.9 second attack interval. And when we do the walkthrough, or the showcase, I should say, when I walk you through me showcasing live my fight against Evil Planet, you're going to see there's a lot to be desired. And now the final thing before we get into Beelzebub and Beatrix, and by the way, if you want to see the live fight, that will be at the very end of this video. But the final thing is there are many more unknowns as well. So unknown number 1, will any of these characters get buffed? And most importantly, will Mina get buffed? Because Mina is too weak. It's going to be impossible as a content creator to tell anyone they should go for her outside of collection purposes if she's guaranteed to stay in her current form. She'll have certain usability in some places, but she's not at all, I believe, what the devs intended or what most of us anticipated when we read her kit. So, unknown number 1, are any of these units getting buffed? Any of them at all? And when I say any of these units, I mean the collab is coming with 4 units. I would say Dracula probably doesn't need a buff, though there are things I would definitely change. In certain ways, he's already incredibly strong. I just think it's an imperfect kit. It's still a very, very, very powerful kit. But the other 3, it's pretty TBD. I still have to test Van Helsing more. Vlad Dracula looks to be very good, but it's hard to find the proper places to test him, and it's also hard to find the proper gear since he's HP based, but that's also a high potential unit. I'm pretty high on him. Van Helsing, like I said, is a TBD. Mina is far too weak. A lot is in the air. So that's unknown number 1. Are any of these units going to be changed? Because based on who they are now, or at least Mina, it would be easy to tell you guys to go for this Beelzebub Beatrix banner. However, because who she is now could change, it's hard to say. The second unknown is, how do you even acquire Vlad, Dracula, and Van Helsing, right? We know the dates for Mina and Dracula. Mina is coming on Thursday, Dracula is coming next Saturday, right? So Mina's going to be on the 13th, Dracula on the 15th. That's good. But I'd be shocked if one of these guys wasn't free. Maybe both will be free. Maybe one's an event login unit, maybe one's a fusion. It's hard to say for sure. I would really, it'd be a bad event if all 4 of these units could only be summoned through luck or paying money, right? So that's a big unknown. How can they be claimed? How can they be added to your roster? How can you earn them? And then the third one that's really huge, this is a collab. And in a lot of games, collabs, the units are limited. A good example is Raid. They're doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collab right now, and when it's over, it's over. So there are 6 characters that are part of that collab, the 4 Turtles, April, and Shredder, right? So 6 total. And once the event ends, and it's actually ending, funny enough, on November 13th. So if you're a Raid player, come to Watcher Realms then. We have a new event starting. But when that event ends, those 6 characters leave the game. They're just temporary. They're limited to that moment in time, and then they're gone. You can't get them. Because I think that would really change how you approach these banners. However, if all these guys are getting added to their respective summoning pools, I think you could be a lot more comfortable skipping out. Like, yeah, maybe Mina's a limited, but if they potentially would rerun her in the future after buffing her, it wouldn't be as crazy. And who knows about the other guys. But it's possible it's like once this event ends in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, however long it's going to be, we never see these guys again. So it's either you got them or you didn't. That would really change how we approach this as well. Anyway, let's talk about the 2 main units on the banner. They're pretty straightforward. I mean, this is a very, very good banner. With Beelzebub, you could pull for him confidently knowing he is a top 5 non-lord in the game. He is so unique. He is so powerful. He's so essential for multiple meta setups, whether that is Matrix, whether that is Gear Dungeon 1, whether that is Gear Raid 1. He has a lot of power, and he's very versatile. You can use him in a lot of different places. So with him, you can summon for him confidently knowing you're summoning for a top 5 non-lord in the game. With Beatrix, she's kind of the consolation prize on this banner. Phenomenal consolation prize. Amazing dual faction membership in Cultists and Esotericists, the 2 best magic damage AoE factions in the game, and that's what she is. She's an excellent AoE DPS, and she's a summoner, which synergizes well in both those factions, especially the Cultists. So with Beatrix, I'd say at worst, she's like the 7th or 8th best AoE mage in the game. I think she's got an argument to be better. Definitely in certain content, she's better because she has such a unique mechanic with her summons flying around the field. Especially with the release of the new Matrix 1 boss, Zerbis, these guys are both very meta there, especially Beelzebub. He is like top meta. You will see him everywhere. With Beatrix, she's in a lot of top teams. I wouldn't call her required, but she's super high-end. So she can be in meta teams for sure. So this is a really good banner. However, can I confidently say go for this banner? In no way. So there are the 3 reasons I went over that I cannot do that. And then there's one more big reason. This isn't guaranteed at all. So even if Mina ends up not getting buffed and she isn't good, she's for the collection and she is hard guaranteed. You will not summon more than 200 summons without getting her. You're guaranteed her within 200 summons. With these guys, it is your normal 20x. Yes, we have the progressive feature, but that can only hit once. And it can take you up to 3 legendaries pulled on this banner, or if you go for the other banner, on the other banner. It is not shared between banners to make that happen. So like, yeah, you could do 100 summons and hit 3 legendaries, or you could do whatever it is, 540 summons, right? 560 summons in like an absolute worst case. That'd be unlikely, but it could happen. So if you want to know the math on it, when you kick off on this banner, you'll have about a 38% chance on the first legendary you pull, you're hitting one of these 2. If you miss on that one, the next pull, you'll have an 85% chance, a 42.5% chance each. You'll hit one of those 2, 85% total. The cumulative chance you'll have hit one of these 2 on either your first or second legendary pulled is an 89% chance. But that means 11% of players, over 1/10 of players, will have to go to a 3rd legendary. And the chance you miss on that 3rd legendary is 4 in 1,000, so it's basically not going to happen. But you could get up to the 3 legendaries. And if you're only targeting one of these guys, you don't know which one you're going to hit. If you're lucky enough to hit a banner unit, once you do that, the progressive rate up system is over. It can only trigger once. It only helps you get your first copy. And when you do hit the banner unit, it's a coin flip. Is it going to be Bubba or Beatrix? So I'm assuming a lot of people will be pulling on this specifically for Beelzebub, but whether you're going for one or the other, it's a big crapshoot. So unless you're going for both, you're going to be super happy with both. I think it's a big risk because I'd just be really surprised if Mina stays the way she's going to stay. And there's just so much unknown about the upcoming Dracula event. Let's do this showcase now, but before I do, I want to give you one huge piece of definitive advice. So a lot of the advice in this video is not as clean as the advice I normally give, because I think this Dracula rollout so far has created like a messy situation, so we can't say everything certainly. One thing I can say for sure though, if you want to approach this banner in the smartest way possible, do not summon tomorrow. There is no reason to summon on Friday. This banner is going to run Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Wait until Saturday, if not Sunday, because maybe we're going to get a lot more news about the Dracula units. Maybe a Mina buff will be announced. Maybe we'll find out that both Van Helsing and Vlad Dracula are free to play through some event or fusion or something like that. Maybe we'll find out that one is and not the other, and it's the one you wanted or the one you didn't want. There's a lot of news that could arrive over the next 48 hours that could really inform you on your decision-making for this banner and could help you make the right or wrong choice. All right, very quickly now, let's do this. We're fighting against a pretty meta team here. I've got Merit instead of maybe like a Valara, but for running pure Star Piercer, very, very good team that Evil Planet set up. Let's go in here and let's fight it. You can see I've got very high BP. All the gears really good. No high awakenings, just the A5 Diao Chan because I didn't want to gear another Diao Chan. Everyone else I made A0. So I played around with a bunch of different things. You'll see the Mina range in a few moments, and it will make sense why this is hard to figure out. But I found this to be the most successful so far. I've probably fought him 5 or 6 times. We have not won yet, but we've come very close. We've come within single-digit percentage points. We let Erlang Shen go. We win the first round. However, we're at a disadvantage right away because he's got Yuri, and Yuri's going to hop around, and there's going to be a big lead, really big lead. So we're going to place Diao Chen there, and then Flipper. Wait 1 second, actually. Flipper black. So this is, we're just waiting. Erlang Shen's very annoying. They make it look like this is in range, but this is just the mark range. He can't actually hit in this range, so we have to wait. We're going to take a decent bit of damage. I can ult now. But not too bad. Only lost 30% of our health. Now I'm waiting for 13 costs. You'll see how cheap Dracula is over here. Dracula's really, really, really cool in the arena, in my opinion. Make myself a little smaller. Let's ult with Dracula now, and you'll see how he spams out his hits, throwing those souls at him. So now we win this round at least. Only by a little, but at least we didn't lose. And now you're going to see. So this is the team they wanted us to use. I think this is probably the best deployment strategy. You know, there's an argument that you could move where your melees go, but I kind of feel like Diao Chan has to go here and Mina has to go here where I'm about to put her. I tried Diao Chan here and then Mina right there, like diagonal up from Dracula, and it wasn't cutting it. Here's another way where it's like Yuri would be better, you know, for sure. We're going to place Mina there, points it up, and you'll see Mina does like no damage if she's not ulting. Not at all. Let's ult with her, though, so you can see. We're also going to ult with Dracula. And these guys won't even reach her before Dracula kills them. Now, part of that you could say is like, well, you're using Dracula and he's better. Sure, but this is the comp they outlined. I'll do it another time so you can see what it's like if we don't do that. But already, we're getting shellacked with probably better gear. Hard to say for sure. I'm sure it's all test server gear, right? But look at that. Yuri is just better, right? And Mina's not helping us with really anything. She doesn't deal any damage outside of her ultimate because she's dealing magic damage from her basic attacks. And then during the ultimate, you'll see like she transforms into Dracula and then she deals nice piercing damage. But it's still too infrequent. It's high damage, but it's just every 2 seconds and only for 10 seconds. So it's basically just 5 big AoE hits, but they're not that big. They're just normal good. Go Dracula there. We'll save Mina for the next one. You can see Dracula spamming it out. But even when we win, we're like barely winning because this more meta comp on the right is better. We'll go with Mina here and you'll get a good image of it. You can see she becomes Dracula. She comes with these bursts of damage. It's pretty good, but it's not like crazy. And then we're still going to fail, right? I did her a little early, but yeah, we win, but we're not winning by enough. So here's the 9th round. We usually do win this one. Try to time it out perfectly with Dracula, but you'll see when the final score comes, she is like a non-participant in this fight. When you see that little magic damage, that's her. And then when she ults, it's pretty good AoE piercing damage, but it's pretty infrequent, and it's only for those 10 seconds. You just look at the kills. Okay, let's go for Dracula and Yovar. Will Mina even get to go off here? Probably not. Dracula's probably just going to kill him. So she transforms. Dracula's going to get this kill. One more guy. Yeah, it doesn't even reach. So here we'll get a nice chunk back. This is how it ends up being close, but they should get this kill fast enough that we lose, and we lose. So pretty close, within 5%. Did better than you guys probably thought we were going to end up doing, but that was really just on the back of Erlang Shen having great AoE damage and Dracula just having a lot of burst. Very good. But I actually think the Dracula comp is going to be bringing someone like Sithra and Yuri along with him and then just ripping through everything with like a Diao Chan and an Erlang or something like that. I don't think it's going to be this. And you can see she's just like a non-contributor. Obviously, this is kind of suboptimal for her, but this is also, remember, what they suggested. So, final conclusions. I would really wait till Saturday. I'll make an update video if you guys need. It's a very hard call. I'm hoping we get a lot more information so you guys can be properly informed. However, if you do go for it, know that you're gambling, but it's a pretty good thing to gamble on because this is a very good banner. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know below. If you made it to the end of the video, please do subscribe to the channel. I've been Fastidious, share with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.